recording. Hey guys, little note-taking session here. Solo session for Soup. Ruby will be here for a little bit, probably leave. Uh, anyways, yeah. So, Soup.
Mm-hmm.
Our vision once again moves from the eastern. Oh, let me get the music started. Actually, let's go down to the let's go down to my actual call here. So if anybody joins in, they don't fuck with us.
All right.
Right. Ah, everyone joined. Nice. Okay. Alright. We're still recording, by the way. Playing some music now. I don't care about copyright because these either they'll be uploaded and I don't care about them or whatnot. There's no sessions. So, our vision, once again, moves from the eastern side of the world, more western, near the western edge of the world. Actually, let me check, just to make sure I didn't fuck up the last few times I described this. Because I've been just fucking up quite a bit lately. Yeah, near the western side of the world, to the north. As we span the many oceans that exist, as we span past the warring seas, over Orcelium, past Hestilia, and its many volcanic eruptions, its soot blowing through, past Draconia, which now has made a full lap around the world, once again. As we see the many fireworks exploding in the night sky as morn starts to come to the world. We fly over death's door, a darkened color in the peaceful sea, and we head north to a large island covered in fog. Many different islands outlying on its exterior, not covered in the same fog, but not part of the main island either. A continent where we could see the treetops sticking out of some of these foggy areas. We could see small little dancing lights probing and pulsing underneath the fog itself. We see small floating islands suspended above different parts of this continent. Large bluffs where the fog rolls off and falls, almost cascading like waterfalls amongst the landscape. We see ancient ruins speckled across the many parts of the land. We see flying beasts disrupting the fog, going in, flying out. We see ancient beasts, pterodactyls, in fact, flying through the islands. As the sun begins to rise further and further, the dark greenish parts of the sea becomes a more translucent blue, almost like tropical blue. As it continues to shine light upon this beautiful island, a few smokestacks rise from beneath the fog. A large tree can be seen in the distance, rising thousands of feet into the air, past the clouds themselves. However, that's not our main focus for today. Our main focus, let's see, you're there, which direction? Lies southwest of the capital city of Tirok, sorry. I'm trying to fucking pronounce it correctly. As we follow a hidden path above the fog, our vision stops and starts to descend further and further, the fog and wind pushing past, as the smell of jungle matter, vegetation rotting, new, these beautiful scents of flowers, the smell of wet fur, the sounds of dogs and crickets, the sounds of hunters, prey. Our vision hits the jungle floor with a wet, resounding quack, as we see vines pooling themselves, moving on an alive forest all surrounding. We see fade lights dancing in, pulsing, going out. We see individuals walking through the forest with these glowing lamps with moths in them. Some people collecting some of these phalites in their lanterns as hidden paths underneath this foliage appear. We see other individuals walking around lost. We see creatures dead on the ground, skulls, remains. We see other creatures large. A Tyrannosaurus Rex, 200 foot tall with green scales, prowls the forest and continues. A bit further west, southwest. We continue, pushing through. A bit of the mist hits us. And we're on a bluff. Above a large decline into a city that seems to be in this small, almost crater-like hill. Well, not hill, but what is it called? Ditch. There it is. Amongst the ditch, we can see many, amongst this ditch, it's almost like a clearing. However, the canopy almost forms this dome over it. From trees not within the village itself. We see bushes of berries surrounding the entire village on all sides. It is plentiful. We see trees growing fruit. We see animals rushing. But as we look at the village, we don't see standing houses or ancient houses that have become part of the woods like you usually would with this village. We see burnt and charred husks of houses of wood. We see broken walls. We see pillars that have fallen. We see trees that have been used to break in the roofs of houses. We see smokestacks. We see the remnant embers of fire. We see blood strewn across the ground in different areas of this village. And we see bodies of individuals in hide armor, wielding weapons. We also see, as we push through the small, waist-high wooden fence that surrounds this village, a hanging sign on a chain that seems to have broken on one of its edges and just hangs, swinging back and forth. And the ever-present low wind. As the wind pushes us through even further, we see the streets caked in mud, blood, ash. And we see standing in the middle there, just guarding as he was ordered, an automaton. Standing as the morning dew coats his face. We see his eyes power on as he just stares around and begins his morning ways, walking around, covered in moss and rusted metal. Eventually, we see rushing into the town, carrying an individual, injured to all hell. Soup, if you'd like to describe your character as your fireman carrying one of the villagers that has been spying on the enemy, or tracked them down quite a bit.
The camera sees what appears to be a humanoid figure with cat-like with a cat-like appearance to them, male in description, with sort of normal dark brown fur with a bit of a lighter patch on the face. Their clothes are mostly a mix of dark blue and silver, although running through the forest it appears to have gotten quite dirty. They carry some weapons with them, but it's usually very small things, a few knives, some javelins, a backpack. And they actually have a shield with them as well, emblazoned with the symbol of a moon. Their eyes, in a very similar color to their clothes, although seemingly glowing a little bit.
As you rush into the town, you hear the howl and barking and the snatching of jaws as it seems the two wolves that have followed you this entire way have nearly caught up to you. About 20 feet behind you, they rush through as you rush through to the beginnings of the main village road. Not really road, but more like a main dirt path, basically. The wolves have just pushed past the fence. These aren't normal wolves. These ones are not normal wolves, actually. No, I'm right. These are not normal wolves. Their fur is black as the night sky. Their eyes are red, and as their eyes squint a little bit, you can see they almost spark out like lightning. And it actually does spark like lightning, now that you've gotten a good look at them. The lightning dances across their fur and spirals across them, red in color. Their fur floofy and just a lot of it upon their chest area. And as you run, the two wolves stop, sliding to the side as they point their tail at you, and the lightning strikes towards you. I need you to make me a reflex save.
Good thing I have a decent bonus. What's my hit points at? Is it full?
Full, but I'm going to give you a -1 to the reflex save because you're carrying someone.
Alright, I just need to fix that. There we go. Reflex save. Here we go. I got a total of 18, so that means 17 with the -1 taken into effect.
Alright. You manage to dodge out of the way of these creatures' lightning, just barely rolling out of the way, caking yourself in mud, dropping the individual to the side, not taking any damage. And as you start to get back up onto your elbows, as you push through the mud, you can now see collars of leather black underneath the fur of these creatures with red gems emblazoned onto the trachea of them. And you recognize this. These are not the normal wolves that you see in the forest that have the same look to them. These ones are tamed. And you know who tamed them. The bandits that attacked the village quite a few days ago. As the wolves start to prance around, not prance, they start to walk around trying to flank you on either side. They seem to be reading you at the moment. Make me a deception check.
Funny enough, I actually have good bonuses to deception. 25.
25. They seem not eager to pounce just yet because they can't get a good read on you just yet. You look over to your right, 10 feet away is the body of the villager that got thrown off when you had to dodge. He seems still unconscious, bleeding heavily, even though you tried to wrap his wounds. The attack from the bandits and the wolves seems to have been very deep, and he's going to need some serious medical attention. However, one of the wolves is starting to get a bit closer to him as they're circling you.
Trying to keep my eyes on both of the wolves at once, I will attempt to very slowly walk towards this person. Should I make it without being stopped, I will very slowly put a hand down, as I'm going to cast Lay on Hands on them to just make sure they don't die.
Okay, Divine Magic, interesting. Have you shown this to the village at all before? After the attack?
No, I've usually kept this to myself. Anyone who has noticed would probably have kept it a secret, or didn't know what it was.
I will say, looking at it, I just rolled a perception check for the villagers to see if they noticed this. Because remember, you have the magic thing, and divine magic is a very guarded thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you're aware. Anybody listening in, it's a very guarded thing. So, as you look over towards this individual, you start to walk towards him. Make me a diplomacy, nature, or intimidation check, because the wolves will pounce on you if you get closer to them. If you're trying to stabilize this individual.
Diplomacy, nature, or intimidation. Well, I don't have proficiency in intimidation, and nature is a +0, so I'm going to go with diplomacy on this.
Sure thing. Go ahead.
14.
14. Okay, so as you begin to walk towards them, and you get around, and you start to reach for the injured villager, you reach down, and the wolf that's closest to him leaps at you, making an attack. Let me go ahead and pull up the wolf statistics. There it is. Okay. So, as the wolf leaps at you, these aren't considered elite wolves, these are normal wolves, just with a different bit of stuff. It's going to make one jaw attack at you. Does a 20 hit?
Yes, as my shield is currently not up.
Alright, so as you reach down with your left or right arm?
I was reaching down with my left.
Alright, you reach down with your left arm, keeping your eye on the one behind you because you hear it approaching you a little bit, and as you turn back to look at the one in front of you, it's already biting its jaw down onto your arm. You suffer 7 points of piercing damage, and it is going to add its lightning because that's up. So you do suffer an extra 2 points of lightning damage. As it bites into your arm and with its powerful jaws just lifts you into the air and smacks you into the mud on the other side of this individual, but you are touching the villager. I will say when you land, you reach your arm out even though it's in the jaws and it's ripping your flesh off, and you manage to touch the villager. Do you put your lay on hands out?
I will indeed put my lay on hands into this person.
How many?
Lay on hands is a flat 6 hit points.
6? Okay, I didn't know that. My bad. So, as you lay on hands him, you hear his breathing go from raggedy to a bit normal. You see his wounds, though very deep and bleeding this very crimson red, like almost blackish red color, which you know is a very bad sign. It starts to lighten the color of the bleed, and you see it's not pouring out as heavily. You've saved him. It doesn't mean he's not wounded.
Out of the red.
Yeah, he still has a heavy wounded condition.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can't go past your maximum HP, right? So
generally no, I don't think.
So he's at wounded, I believe 7 is it would be then? Let me see. I'm just making sure here. Let's see here. Yeah, you have to use treat wounds to get rid of the wounded condition.
Yes. And treat wounds, I believe, is a medicine thing.
Yep.
Which, unfortunately, I can't do because I'm not trained in medicine.
Yeah, I think you can't go to your max HP. So he is at wounded 7 at the moment. He is, like, you can see he is, like, on death's door at the moment. As you're on the ground, on your back, you just got slammed, and the wolf is tearing into your arm. It's going to go ahead, and now that it has you knocked down, it's going to make an attack at you with the +2. It's going to instead, it still can't read you at the moment because it failed that check. It's going to look at you and then back up really quickly.
Alright. I guess I will use this time to get to my feet.
Alright, so as it backs up, the other one looks at you, and you start to hear these heavy footsteps rushing towards you. As you see, your automaton friend is on the other side of the village right now, maybe a few 100 feet from you. He won't get here within a few minutes. Well, within a few rounds.
How close is the nearest building? Preferably one with standing walls.
40 feet from you, but not... The one with the most walls, like the most intact walls, would be the main, like, hall, and that's a good, like, 200, 300 feet from you. The only one that you could find has, like, one burnt down pretty bad wall, and then one with a large hole in it, one with many marks in it, so, like, it has one good wall, at least.
If I can, I would like to move the unconscious person to that wall and lay them up against it.
Alright, make me a deception check, please. Just against the wolves real quick.
Deception.
Yeah.
12.
Okay, you still beat them. They're trying to figure out your deal, your everything. They're trying to figure out what you can do and see if you're a threat. Or if they could just eat you, basically. Anyways, they can't tell.
Alright.
Yeah.
Now that
you pull him up and put him against the wall, and you start to, like, affix his wounds really quickly. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? You still have 3 actions, I'll say.
I will turn around, keep my shield up, so raise shield.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I believe this is a free action?
I will say, at the moment, even though you have fur, it is chilling as fuck here. the snow has a hard time reaching through the canopy in most of the forest because it is cold as shit. And the tropical weather here does keep it from snowing too a lot of the time in the winter. But the temperature is still fucking cold in the forest right at the moment. It's not Arctic like snow cold, but it's still like 60, 50 degrees. So
Remember, I use Celsius.
I know. Well, that means like I don't know. I don't know what that. Let me fucking convert that then.
Sorry for putting you through hell.
You are. You're putting me through cell. 15 Celsius.
Okay, that's not bad.
Well, that's 60 Fahrenheit. So like 10 degrees less would be. It's more around 50 at this point. So that would be 10 Celsius.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I have a raised shield.
Yeah.
For my free action, I'm going to.
As you raise your shield, a small wind picks up and blows your fur to the side as a bit of the soot and dust blows past your face, caking it a little bit.
All right. I'm going to draw one of my star knives using a free action, placing the knife to my chest. It's like I guess you could say it's like an oversized shuriken where you hold like a small handle in the center of a circle with the blade pointing out in 4 cardinal directions. Holding that to my chest, I use a free action for Desperate Prayer, and last
how many free
action,
actions do you get?
I get 1 free action.
Okay,
I'm
so
using my 1 free action for Desperate Prayer.
Okay, so you're using a free action for Desperate Prayer, you're using one of your actions to pull it out, and then another action for what?
Lay on hands on myself.
Alright, so that's 4 things. So you used Lay on Hands, you used your shield to
I
pull out.
used Raised Shield,
Yep.
I use an Interact action to pull out my knife,
Pulled it out.
free action for Desperate Prayer,
Okay.
and 1 action for Lay on Hands into myself.
Completely
so I
fine.
get 6 hits.
I was just miscounting there, my bad.
Alright. So yeah, the reason I do that is because that wolf took almost half my hit points.
They're dead, but yeah.
Yep. So anyway, Raise Shield, my AC goes up to 20. I now have 17 hit points, and I have a weapon drawn just in case.
Alright. So, as you pull your weapons out, these 2 wolves not being able to tell, like, what you are, who you are, go ahead and roll initiative for me.
Great, now how do I roll initiative in Pathfinder?
Just go ahead and roll a d20, and I'll say because you're raising your shield and you're ready, go ahead and it's just gonna be, we'll just have it be your wisdom check. I'll say wisdom or dexterity, it's your choice. It's either how fast you move or how fast you're able to look at their defenses, look at where you can strike against a creature, and get ready, prepared for the fight. So either a wisdom or dexterity check, your choice. They are definitely probably going to go dexterity. Yeah, 100%. Okay.
Okay, so, wisdom or dex, my abilities, where the hell are my abilities again? Here they are. Dex it is. Dex is my highest stat. I'm going to go for that.
Okay.
1d20. That is a dirty 20 because I got a 16 on the die.
Okay, so you go first. As the wolves are starting to circle you, you start to notice the lightning coming off of them, the little shivers they have in this cold weather, even with their floofy fur. And you start to notice their paws, those... every so often, the gem on their collar will shake, and you'll see them, like, try to turn away for a second before it happens, and then that gem will make them focus on you again. That's what you notice.
You're being controlled. I'm not entirely sure if you understand, but this is not your will. And if whoever's in charge of you is listening, leave me the gods alone.
You could either make me a diplomacy check, or... So, are you trying to convince the wolves, or the people that may or may not be watching?
If I can get the people or the person in charge of these wolves listening, preferably them, because what I've noticed is that these wolves are not acting of their own will. They're essentially being forced to attack me and the person I saved. So if they're actively being controlled, it's likely that whoever is controlling them has to impart a portion of themselves into these collars or
I
into these
I will
wolves
say this:
to control them.
when you did run away from these guys because you were following some bandits back to their camp, the ones that had attacked like 2 days ago, but like you followed them a day ago. You had met this guy simply to get some information he had. Bandits had ambushed you at that point. The bandits seemed to give them an order, and the collars glowed at that time. You get the feeling the collars are on the wolves, and until they complete their orders or the collar is destroyed, you're not sure if that'll work too, but that's an assumption you have. They will have to do their job. You're not sure if it forces the person who's using it, because these were normal bandits that gave the command. So you don't know if they know how to use these magical items, because these are obviously magical items.
All right then. In that case, I will be trying to roll diplomacy against the wolves then, or at least to see if I can prevent them from outright attacking me right now.
Okay.
Because yes, they're probably going to attack me in the
It would
future,
be a
but
nature
right
check. It
now.
would be a nature check against wolves then.
All right then. Nature is a 0. Let's see how badly I do on this.
Yeah, just because you're trying to tame or common. Actually, no, you could do diplomacy technically. It'll be a higher DC for diplomacy because you're trying to talk to an animal rather than nature.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to roll diplomacy then.
Okay, so it's gonna be way higher than that. So like, nature was like a pretty decent DC. This is gonna be a pretty high DC, just so you're aware.
All right. I got a 12 on the die, and that is a total of 18.
Doesn't matter how high it is when I put the DC as 18. So, as you say this, and don't show really any, like, you show a defensive posture more than anything else. The wolves start to, like, shake their heads and, like, try to move away, but the collar shakes one more time, and they do take damage. Wolf 1 suffers... Oh, God.
Oh no.
Oh, he might be dead. No, he is not. Okay. Okay. Oh, hold up. I need to reroll for the second wolf's damage. Oh, he might be dead. No, he's not. Okay. Alright, so you see this strange energy, green and black, surround the wolf's body as like a cage for a minute, and you see them just shake and shake and shake, and you hear from the wolves, whimpering, and then they suddenly turn towards you, ready to attack.
Unfortunate.
Anyways, that ends your turn.
I will at least attempt to relieve the suffering that you are experiencing.
Wait, that doesn't end your turn because you get more than one action, right? I believe it costs an action
I
to make
have
a
used
check, correct?
That I believe is up to the DM,
Yeah,
but I would assume yes.
I'll say
it is an action.
Yeah, it takes one action to make a check, so you have 2 more actions left. You are about 30 feet from these wolves.
Though the advantage of being a Pathfinder is that you can make the same check multiple times.
It's either you get
Yes,
a higher
I know,
DC
but doing
after,
this is going to just kill the wolves.
So what are you doing, Soup?
Are they both the same distance from me?
Yes. One of them is about 10 feet to the left, the other is about 10 feet to the right, but they're 30 feet away from you.
Alright, and they are focused on me specifically, not the person I was carrying, right?
It would seem so. You can make me a perception check.
Alright. This is going to be another action, isn't it?
It will be another action if you wish to do it.
Sure, I'm going to do it. 14.
They seem to be looking at you mostly just because you are the threat, but they seem to be giving side glances to the person you were carrying too. as if they're supposed to finish the job they were given.
All right. Now, is my shield still raised?
Your shield is still raised, yes.
All right, so I still benefit from the AC. Uh, I can't take any reaction attacks because I'm not a fighter. Is there a hold action?
I will allow you to hold. I will allow you to hold. So how I'm gonna do hold actions in this one, similar to the other D&D, you have to specify the actions you wish to hold. So if you wish to hold one action and use the other two, you can do that. But you have to specify that action that you wish to hold. So if the trigger does not happen, you cannot use that. It just gets wasted. If you
Yeah.
wish to hold two actions, you have to specify what those two actions are. If you wish to hold three actions, you have to specify what they are. Or if you want to cast a spell that's two actions or three, you could do that too. But still, you have to specify what will trigger it.
All right. In that case, since you stated that precisely, I'm going to hold my last action to should either wolf make its way towards me and attempt an attack roll, I'm going to make an attack roll and do what I can to try and aim at the collar.
Okay. Oh, fuck, this wolf can't do it. Shit. Okay. So, as you hold your shuriken, basically, waiting to see what happens, you see one of the wolves, Wolf 1, starts to rush towards you, while Wolf 1's turn goes first. Wolf 1 starts to rush towards you and gets ready to bite at you, so you get your action first.
All right, that is going to be an attack roll. Do I have any bonuses or penalties for specifically attacking the collar around its neck?
It just has, you have to meet the AC of the collar, which is going to be a bit harder because it's a smaller thing and it's a magical item, so it's harder to break. It has an HP pool too, so go ahead.
All right. I am attacking with my star knife in melee. This is going to do 1d4 piercing.
Mhm.
So the one attack.
Is it 1d4 or 1d4 plus an ability?
It's supposed to be 1d4 plus strength, but my strength is a 10.
I see.
All right. That's a 10.
10?
Yes.
Are you throwing your star?
No, I am making a melee attack with it.
Alright, you spin it on your hand and strike, and you miss. Go ahead and roll again to see if you actually hit the wolf, because you missed the collar.
Does this count towards multiple attack penalty?
No. This is just to see, in that swing, if you missed the collar, or had enough precision to hit the wolf, or not. So, we're seeing...
I guess the continued motion towards the wolf's neck would be a 19.
Okay. So you don't even need to roll damage, just simply because it has 1 health left from the collar shock, because it dealt 23 damage to the wolf. So, as you go to swing, you slip on some ash, and slice straight through the creature's neck. Its blood just sprays onto you, and it just falls directly in front of you. It is now bleeding out. Wolf 1's turn ends. Actually, before the end of its turn, it succeeds. Good to know. I will say, as you did cut its neck, the leather part of the collar does get cut a bit. It doesn't get cut off; it gets nicked heavily. Mind you, these look like corsets more than they do collars, but they are placed around the neck like collars. So, if you
that's a thick ass collar.
If you picture like a corset, how it like goes around a woman and has a lip at the top and bottom, that's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a thick collar.
Yeah, and it is covered by thick ass fur of them. Anyways, so as it falls to the ground, bleeding now out, the other one, you see it looks over and sees this. Its eyes flash, and you're getting ready for a lightning strike at you. But then suddenly you see the lightning bounce off of its body, hit the ground right next to it on either side. And you see 2 wolves made of this red lightning just suddenly appear.
This is not worse. This is way worse.
And then those 2 wolves are going to take their subjugate turns to make lightning strikes at you. Go ahead and make me 2 reflex saves.
Alright, reflex save number 1 is a 26.
That succeeds.
Reflex save number 2 is a 14.
14, that's a failure.
Yeah, I figured.
As you dodge the first one, actually I'll say this: as you block the first one with your shield and throw it off to the side, you're about to step out of the way of the other one, and you see the lightning strike is about to hit the villager behind you, the one that you placed on the wall. So you're like, "Fuck!" and you just take it. So
With shield raised, I believe the damage is split between me and the shield.
okay, it's lightning
If it
damage.
exceeds the shield's hardness, then it is.
It's lightning damage. Does that succeed its hardness? I don't know what that means.
Hardness
How
is
much
something
damage did it deal?
I'm gonna roll that right now. Oh gosh. Oh wait, no, I'm rolling a d12. What the fuck? No, I'm gonna do roll a d6. Okay. 16.
What
Yeah,
is
that
your
was-
shield's hardness?
It's just a steel shield. It's got a hardness of 5.
It is reduced by 5, and then the remaining damage is split between you.
So the lightning, as you bring it back to try and block some of the lightning, it chips a side of your shield and just straight up hits you in the chest, dealing 11 points of lightning damage to you.
All right,
How much health are you at?
6.
As,
And how much does the shield take?
the shield took 5.
It would
Alright.
be 11 split into
No, it's 16 split into 5.
No.
Oh,
16 reduced by the hardness.
okay.
Then take the remaining
So 11.
and divide it between them.
11, so 6 to the shield, 5 to you. Because I do
Alright.
more to your armor than you.
All right, then I was at 17.
How much health does your shield have before it breaks?
It has 20 hit points. It becomes broken at 10 and is destroyed at 0.
I will say this, as it breaks through a side part of your shield, you see the lightning actually coats it a little bit and does a bit more damage than you thought it would do. So that's just me saying that it, like, hit the shield pretty badly. Because it nearly broke it in one hit. So,
Well,
as that,
yeah.
Good quarter of its hit points.
as that happens...
Broken reduces its effectiveness.
As that happens and you, like, put your foot backwards to keep yourself from falling, you see the wolf that just split its lightning into 2, rushes up towards you, and with its last action is going to make an attack at you. Because it didn't use its other actions, it still has its full attack bonus. So...
Yep.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Is that a crit?
No, but does a 19 hit you?
No.
So it goes to bite at you, and you just put your shield out like Captain America style, and it bites onto the broken part of your shield, trying to break down. And you hear the creaking of your shield as its jaws are powerful as fuck, trying to break through. Anyways, ends its turn.
Back to me then, I presume.
Yes, it is your turn.
All right.
I will
it is
say
right
the
next to
creature
me.
is on your shield, so it is currently stopping your raised shield action. You do not have that AC at the moment until it lets go to attack you again.
Yep. In that case, since it's right next to me,
I will say, as a free action, you could drop your shield because it's a buckler kind of thing, right?
It's a steel shield, so I'd assume it's sort of strapped to my arm, and I'm holding the other side with my hand.
Yeah, I'll say as an item interaction.
There's one strap. There's one strap further up towards your elbow, and one you hold with your hand.
I'll say as an item interaction, if you wanted to, you could quickly discard it off of you and then make an attack, or move if you wished to, if you wanted to do something like that. Anyways, what are you doing?
I'm going to keep the shield on for the time being, because the wolf is right next to me, I'm going to attempt to break the collar on it.
I will give you a +3 competence bonus. Confidence, I don't know what it is, just because you are basically holding it at bay with your shield, and it can't really move out of the way until it lets go.
All right.
You mean circumstance?
Fuck you.
No, a competence bonus.
It's basically
There are
the same.
circumstance, competence, and status bonuses, I think.
Yeah.
I know
the
there's 3
difference?
kinds.
I don't know the difference between them, so I just keep saying competence.
The
Circumstance
difference is that you can only-
something.
The difference is that you can only have one of each at a time.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyways, with the +3 that you've given me, that is a total of 28.
28, you definitely hit it.
All right.
I'll say you hit it so well because technically it's... You beat its AC by double, so...
All right.
You can
If
go
it's
ahead,
at least 10 over the AC, that counts as a crit.
Does it?
Yes, that's
Okay,
how
yeah.
Pathfinder works.
Yeah, so you definitely did more than that, so you definitely crit the collar.
Alright.
So go ahead and roll damage. Man, you are dealing with this way better than Zeus did. He fought against 3 of these wolves. I will give him his credit. He poisoned like 2 of them before he was gonna poison the 3rd one, and then got meteored. So you guys, I don't know
Well.
why. You guys fucking handle these wolves like really good.
Well, what if I told you that I did maximum damage on that crit?
How much
I
damage
did-
is that?
Well, the damage die for a star knife is a d4, and on a crit, that damage is, well, you roll the
Double,
dice
yeah.
once, and then you double it. So
Yeah.
I rolled a 4 on that, that makes it 8.
Yeah.
However,
yeah, go ahead.
because it's star knife, it has the deadly d6 property, and I rolled a 6 on that d6, meaning it did a total of
So,
14 damage.
That's 10 doubled to.
No, it's
20.
not 10. It's 8 plus 6, because only the d4 is doubled.
Wait,
the d6
wait.
only applies on a crit.
Okay, thank you. Because remember, all dice on a crit are always doubled, unless it's like brutal critical or something like that. Yeah, that's how.
Yeah, deadly d6, or deadly, the property of deadly specifically states that when you land a crit, then you add this dice to the crit.
Okay, thank you. So 14 damage.
14
You
damage.
stab. So as you're holding it, time almost slows for you as the lightning starts to strike towards you, since you have some metal on you, and you just look and see as time almost becomes like this molasses, and your holy symbol begins to glow, and you feel the luck as your star knife almost turns into this crescent moon similar to Moon Knight's weapons, and you're like, huh? And you just strike forward with straight precision directly into the middle of the gem on this collar. As you do, you see every little crack starting to spider out. Similar to the scene with Quicksilver in X-Men. Just everything is happening in so slow motion around you. As the gem begins to crack and crack and crack, it shatters. As it does, everything becomes super fast for you for a second. As lightning strikes out, I need you to make a reflex or fortitude save. You get to choose here if you want to tank it or dodge it.
They're both the same, and you know what? Because it's this close, I'm going to say fortitude.
Oh, it's not the lightning that's striking out at you. It's the effect of the gem.
Yeah, but if I don't take the damage, the person behind me will.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to make that a fortitude save.
I will say you don't have your shield for this, because
Yes,
the wolf is
I
still
know.
holding it.
Yes, I know. So I'm just going to take the damage, and who knows? It might knock me out because I only have 12 health left.
Well, let's see. So, go ahead and make a fortitude save to see if you take half damage.
23. I almost got a nat 1,
You definitely...
and then it rolled a 16.
You definitely succeeded in taking half the... Actually, hold up. Because the DC was 15, then it goes to 20. So 15 for half damage, 20 for quarter damage. So you take quarter damage here.
Okay.
So, oh, good thing you did, because I just rolled a 12 on the D12 for that. 18 plus 5. 23 reduced by half would be 11. Reduced by half again would be 5 points of necrotic damage to you.
Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
As the lightning strikes out, it hits you and you're like, oh, it's gonna burn. It doesn't burn. You feel your body's, your life force actually being drained from you. As if your body just suddenly gets cold and hot in other places. And you feel like a poison's rushing through your body, but you can't describe it. And then suddenly you look down and the armor, you're wearing armor, right?
I am wearing leather armor.
The leather armor on your body has a hole burnt through it, and you can see just ash coming out of it from where your skin was. You can see dead skin just burning forward, and you're like, oh, oh. There's no blood from it.
Yeah. I guess in pain, my after hitting this thing with my star knife, in pain, my hand is just going to drop the knife and then attempt to grab, or just, I guess, grab the wound, whatever you could describe that as, burn something on my, I'm going to assume it's like round where my sternum is, and just hold it there as I slump to one knee, basically on top of my shield, because I would assume the wolf may have dropped it by now, so I'm just going to hold it to my...
As you're starting to crunch over, you look, and the wolf that was where the collar exploded gets hit by one of these bolts and just disintegrates. Gone.
Wouldn't necrotic literally rot the
Yeah.
leather?
So it was
It
because
burnt through it, and because of the burn,
okay,
it does
as
rot
I was
open.
describing it, the lightning struck and broke through it first, and then following along that bolt, the necrotic damage came through and hit him, following the bolt. It's like putting a needle into someone's skin and then pushing a liquid in, basically. The needle goes in first and the liquid follows.
Yep.
As you fall to the ground, you just feel your shield's free now, and you look over, and the wolf is just disintegrated. The collar has broken on the ground. The other wolf on the ground still bleeding out.
Sort of struggling to get at least to my knees. The
Yeah.
unconscious person, they'll survive for like a few minutes without any immediate medical attention, but they still need
Yep.
help, right? All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to crawl over to the wolf and attempt to treat wounds, which is an untrained medicine's or administer first aid. If that's an untrained thing that
Hold on, let me look
you
at the
can do
dying
effectively.
rules here. You gain the dying 1 condition.
Okay.
Okay, no. If you have wounded condition, it doesn't have wounded condition. This was technically a lethal effect, so he still has the dying condition. So DC equal to 10 plus the current diet value of 1. See if they get better or worse. God damn it.
Did it
So
fail?
they rolled a 9.
Yeah, it failed.
So that's 1 failure, so they're at dying 2.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I attempt to administer first aid.
Okay, so give me a second here to pull up the dying rules one more time here. Because I need to see it on the archives, because it probably mentions something here. Anytime you lose the dying condition, you gain 1 wounded. I'll just say for now, make me a medicine check, and the DC is still pretty high, still higher. So it's 10 plus 2.
Yeah. To administer first aid to stabilize, the DC is typically 15 plus the dying value, but you can change that if you wish.
My bad, I didn't realize, so go ahead and roll.
Well, it does specify the DC is equal to 5 plus that creature's recovery roll DC. Typically 15 plus its dying value.
Okay, I don't know what that means, so we're just gonna go 15 plus 2. So anyways, as it's dying, it still has its collar on, by the way. You only broke one of the collars.
Well, stabilizing is only 2 actions, and I got a 19.
As you manage to bring it to, I think it's a wounded 2 condition then, right? Because it was
Yeah.
Dying 2, yeah.
Yes.
So, as you manage to stabilize it a bit, putting some of the some dirt and mud into its wound to seal it a little bit, going ahead and taking out some of the gauze that you had extra and wrapping it around the wound a little bit, stuffing it even further, you eventually do manage to bring it away from its dying position.
And using my final action, I would like to since the wolf is, or the dog or the wolf is lying there, I would like to try and sort of place my knife on that collar and attempt to break it without hitting the wolf. So like, the only thing between my knife and the ground is the collar.
Okay.
So like, I guess around where like the top of the neck is, the bottom of the neck.
Sure thing. Go ahead.
So essentially, you slip your knife under the collar and are slashing away from the wolf.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and make me just roll damage for the weapon.
All right, damage for the weapon.
This will determine if you're able to cut it properly or not.
All right. This is just going to be a normal attack damage, right?
Yeah, just damage.
Okay.
So it's at that HP at the moment.
Well, that's only 1 damage to the collar.
Okay, so you did 1 damage, you said, right? Jesus, why
Yes.
is it always this song? It's stupid as fuck. Okay, sorry. 1 damage to the collar.
Yes.
You cut it, and you get about halfway through, but it seems the magic in here is really affecting the collar from being cut with this weapon. Not to mention, you just got hit with something that sucked your life force out, so you're not really that strong at the moment.
Yep. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care if this knife breaks. I'm going to try and force it through.
Okay, go ahead and make me, Go ahead and roll me damage one more time. And I'll say... Yeah, go ahead.
That is another 2 damage to the collar.
Alright, you managed to push through the collar. Now I need you to roll me a D100. And because this is basically a shuriken that's going through a very tough, magically enhanced collar, there is a high chance it'll break.
Don't worry, I have a spare.
Okay, just letting you know.
Alright. Percentile has been 14.
You managed to get down to the very edge of the collar, and your shuriken breaks, and then you're like, fuck it, and you just rip the collar's leather with your hands. Or with your claws, you manage to cut the rest.
Mm-hmm.
The collar
How
falls
many
to the
blades
ground.
does the shuriken have?
It can have, I believe, 4 to, 8.
I don't know what the rules for weapon hit points are, but I did buy a spare just in case for something like this.
I will say the shuriken, literally, as the blade breaks, it pulls it out of shape. So it breaks, and not only just the blade, but the part where you hold it, the small plane it's on, actually comes off too. So you can't even throw it if you wanted to. You could use it as a weapon, but it's a really weird weapon to hold, as it is now. So.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, since shuriken are usually minimum of 3.
I don't know. This isn't the shuriken. This is a star knife. It's
still broken, but you could use it for certain things. It's basically just become a kitchen knife at this point. You can't. Really
I could use it as a very wonky survival knife.
It's a survival knife now because you can't really use it as a weapon. You could use a survival knife as a weapon, so you could use this to stab something that's trying to bite your face off.
But it no longer has a thrown condition.
It's not practical, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you took it to someone, you could get it repaired, though.
I probably could get it repaired, but that would potentially take months.
Or if you're trained in crafting, you could repair it yourself to give it the shoddy condition.
I could. However, I'm not trained in crafting.
She is shoddy like my throwing star.
So anyways, now I have sort of a shoddy star knife and a sort of broken shield, but it's still got enough hit points to survive for the time.
Man, you fucking tanked that fight, man.
Lay on hands is amazing.
I know. So as you breathe heavier, you hear the footsteps of your metal friend get a little bit closer, then stop. He just looks over for a second.
My party. I'll get into fights.
Turns around and walks
the only
back
one
on
who's a pacifist.
Ruby, I'm trying to describe a scene, please.
Oh,
Anyways,
crap. Sorry, I wasn't muted.
the automaton finishes looking over towards you. He goes, "Are you all right?"
I'm alive. For now.
What are you going to do with that wolf? I don't know his voice or anything, so I'm just doing a quick roleplay here, so I don't do his character wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a bit of a idea, but I freed it. If it wishes, it could, I don't know, live on its own, follow us. Regardless of what it chooses, hopefully it's for the best.
Understood. Bring the wounded villager to the hospital that we have set up.
Yeah, yep. Give me a moment. I need to get... And I stand back up with great effort, mind you. As I get to my feet, I sort of wobble over to the unconscious woman.
Now that you're looking at it, it is a male dark elf.
The man, okay.
Yes.
I'm going to attempt to sort of try and pull him over my shoulders again. But I might fail the first time, so I'm going to make sure that I get him nice and secure, both arms around my neck, and start dragging him with his feet on the ground.
Okay. Make me a strength check.
All right. There are no strength checks.
You know what I mean. Athletics check.
Athletics, all right. This is going to... Oh, 16.
Strength checks, just use your strength modifier.
16? You manage to
Yep.
drag him as his feet are caking through the mud.
Mhm.
You eventually get him to the actual hall, which has all four walls, though holes in the roof, arrows and bolts still litter the outside of it, and scorch marks do as well. And you see what looks to be a few villagers that are injured still on stretchers or like sitting on handmade cots as you walk inside, stretched out tarps, whatnot. Some of them are missing like their forearms. Some of them are missing eyes or have bandages covering them in different areas, bloodied. Everyone looks tired. And you do not see the child that was not kidnapped, unlike the rest of them. But you figure they put them in a separate room, and your assumption is confirmed when one of the people takes the individual and goes, "We'll take care of them. We'll take care of Yavos for you. If you're looking for little Serena, she's in the I'm trying to figure out what the fucking leader of this town would be called. No, I'm just not gonna do that. She's in the main office at the moment. We made a small room for her there since she's in critical condition."
I thank you for your assistance in this. Although, I guess for now, I could really use a nice space to lie down.
Of course, and we can get you a small bit of healing salve that we have. And she brings Yavos, the dark elf individual with a goatee. He seems to be a bit like older, like maybe mid-30s. And he seems to be brought over. Now he has injuries all over his face, like the right side of his face is injured to fuck. They bring him away, and the nurse comes to you as you are set down on one of these cots that actually has a stand under it. And she comes over and puts a small wooden bowl with this brownish liquid right next to it. And she goes, "Before you drink this, we do need to do a little bit of looking over you to make sure you don't have any infections or anything.
That's understandable.
Do you mind? Do you mind if I do so?"
It's all right. I'm going to attempt to release or loosen some of the straps on my leather armor to sort of make it easier for them to pull off, like one on my left shoulder and then one on my right shoulder, and then
So-
let them take it off.
As you're getting ready to have them take it off like Iron Man style, they start to take it off and it gets stuck, and you're like, that's not usually what happens. And they have to pull, and as they pull, they're gonna make a. Okay, so they managed to take it off without injuring you too much, but you feel a bit of your skin and fur pull off of your belly, and you're like, huh? And you look down, and the hole in your armor the lightning melted the armor onto your skin, grafted it there for a bit. And you're looking down, and you are now, there's this large red spot of missing fur and skin, like the top layer of your skin, and there's just this gaping wound, like maybe an inch deep into your belly. That seems to have been cauterized from the lightning, but still. And you can see flesh has, around the area, there's this just blackened mark that sparks out like lightning. And you can just see around those edges, flesh has gone missing, flaked off.
I expected something worse. I guess I'm still alive.
I don't know if the healing flask will heal that. However,
Do what needs to be done. I'll try and survive through it.
we could try to take out the dead flesh if you would like us to do so. However, let me just check the rest of your body first. She's gonna do a medicine check to check you over. You've got a bit of exhaustion from overdoing the running. That can be easily done with some berries from around here. We've got a little bit of a few fleas, and she takes out some tweezers and starts to take some fleas off of you. We have a few bite marks on your arm. Let me get that for you. And she starts to she pulls out some oils from underneath a counter that's right next to your bed that she put the bowl onto, and she pours it. Now that she takes off the small wraps you put around your arm really quickly, you could see those bite marks tore into your left arm heavily, and had you not healed yourself, afterwards, you would have been bleeding almost as bad as Yavos was, just because they dug all the way past, cutting a few arteries. So you are lucky.
That certainly could have been
Out
worse.
of character, I would have had you, because you took so much damage from that. I would have had you bleeding.
Understandable.
Yeah. So as she pours the oil on, it fills down past your nerves, and you just like. It is pain, just pain. And now, she's going to lay you down and start to do some work on your stomach from that wound.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'm going to say she has a bonus, and she can re-roll this. So, with the help she's getting, she gets plus 10 here, so that's 16. So, she removes the dead flesh and gets some fish scales that they have and starts to put them on there. And she's like, "Alright, this is the best I can do here. If you drink your healing salve, it has some medical properties to it. It's more just nutrients. If you're looking to regain the flesh and muscle we had to take out, I would recommend finding a divine magic." Sorry, I'm burping a lot right now. Either A, going to the capital to get a divine magic practitioner to aid you, though those are very, very guarded and probably won't work, or finding a healing potion, a salve of some sort, as those seem to alleviate the body's, how should I say, not work up. It's like when you have a lot of shit, like, alleviate the body's workload and allow your body a more fast healing. It builds up the healing factor.
It eliminates the lactic acid.
Yes, it increases the healing factor of your body. Those would be your best options. Or you could stay out of combat for a few weeks.
I personally wouldn't mind the rest, but it's almost a duty of mine to help those that need it.
And that's why we all like you here. Thank you. Now, you get some
I
rest.
really appreciate your assistance here.
At this
After I was thrown out of my clan, I kind of just wandered for a long time until you took me in.
Well, that just sucks. And at this point, she's behind you, wrapping around some gauze around you. Don't worry, you're always welcome here, dear.
And I appreciate you for that.
Roll me a will save, please.
Will save is actually my worst saving throw.
And I somehow got a 24.
24? Okay.
19 plus 5.
I will ask this. What gets your character going? What interests your character, male or females?
My character is male, and I would assume would prefer females, but it's more of like they aren't particularly looking for love.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and now give me just a brief description of your character's attractions, because right now this kind of milfy elf is pushing against you. But go ahead.
I guess. How would I describe this?
Are you more interested in only cat people, or are you open, basically?
Fairly open.
Okay.
Fairly open. Although preferred to be someone that is open with them as well.
Alright.
I will say that in contrast to the fact that Rankas has blue eyes, yes, this character's name is Rankas for anyone that is listening, should there be any bodies out there. He likes green eyes.
That's funny. Because I was like, she has green eyes. Too bad he only likes blue eyes, and you said green eyes. Anyways, this elf is if she was a human, she'd be late 40s, but not cougar style, but she looks late 20s. Like a human that's late 40s but looks late 20s is what I'm going for. She is
Yeah.
a MILF. Uh,
All right.
a MILF look, anyways. And though you're not really looking for it, like, you unintentionally start to feel a buildup down in your pants, and you start to blush a little bit and try to hide everything. I'm gonna roll to see if she notices. That's cocked, just like you. And that's one worse. Anyways, and she goes, well, you're always welcome here, and she is pressing her chest against you on the back. You can tell you're not sure if she's trying to be or not, but she is being pretty seductive right now.
Mm-hmm. I guess if you need more physical descriptions, would you say that she's got... I know you're saying that they're pressing against her, but would you say just describe them as massive honkers?
They are not, like, completely massive. They're an average size.
They're
but
like a decent size.
They are nice and perky. As they push against you, they are not sagging like you would assume a normal woman of her ages would be.
Yeah. Something like that would be nice. And I guess the appearance is good,
Yes.
but
she's an elf
actually being
with
closer to
blonde
the
hair.
age would be better.
Yeah. Well, she's an elf, so, like, they live a long time. She has blonde hair and these
Yes, of
emerald-like
course.
green eyes. And she
Okay.
finishes wrapping you up and goes, well, you might want to repair your armor a little bit. There's a little weak point in there. Anyways, if you need anything else, let us know. Get some rest, dearie. And she pulls a small curtain past you as you are now left to yourself. And the strange boner you have for this hot MILF elf.
Alright. In order to distract myself from that, I am going to begin the process of refocusing to regain my focus point, which takes about 10 minutes.
Alright. Make me a will save. To see if you can focus
Alright.
enough.
18.
You find it a bit hard to focus with what's going on with you, but eventually you do settle down a bit, and are able to focus for about 10 minutes. Now, how are you trying to focus? Are you just staring at a wall, thinking, or meditating?
I assume I'm like sitting in like a sort of upright bed-ish thing.
So it's basically like a small stretcher, made of wood, and you're on the top cot of it, and there is just this curtain that surrounds you on all four sides with a small little drawer-based dresser that you've drinking the salve from.
Alright, I am just going to sort of pull my legs up onto the bed, or what can be classified as a bed, and sort of just like sit there, eyes closed, hands sort of interlaced, just trying to think about basically nothing. Just sitting there in quiet contemplation.
So you start to think about nothing, trying to contemplate, get your focus point back. You start to dream a little bit, daydream. And you remember 7 years ago, actually give me a second real quick. You remember 7 years ago, give me one more second, sorry. So yeah, sorry, I had a text I needed to get done. You remember 7 years ago, after... Would you say it was 7 years ago you got kicked out of your tribe? I forget.
I never gave you a specific timeline on when I got kicked out, but I would say, yeah, it's probably been close to a decade, but not quite.
Okay. So you remember 7 years ago, about the time you got kicked out of your tribe, funny enough, it was that fateful night that, like, you had already been basically exiled, like, you were able to come back in and out of your tribe's areas for, like, necessary survival by that point. But you got kicked out of your tribe one night, and you remember the specific night, because you looked up at the stars from the bluff that you sat upon. And you saw out of nowhere, in the sky, this almost aurora Borealis that sits above the magic continent of Tyrellian, it seemed to have a burst of color, magic. This green, blue, and purple color suddenly bursted out and almost formed the shape of like a tree in the sky for a second. And you saw oranges, yellows, different colors. And it was beautiful. And where that burst stopped, you saw a new constellation in the sky. One that you have never seen before in all your years. And
I'm
every
only
night,
25.
I know. And every night since then, you've seen it. Even in the day, sometimes you could see it up above the stars. And it seems to almost move in the sky. Unlike most of the stars that move with a certain celestial pattern, you yourself has clocked it. It seems to follow. It almost seems to follow a certain place on Turam. As most of the other stars seem to turn at a different... As the planet turns, the constellations move in the sky, sure. But this one seems to move slower, almost following the pattern's turn specifically. The planet's turn specifically. And as you remember this, you remember when you found your automaton friend. That same night you had seen the same constellation. You looked up the sky and saw it again, and saw the Aurora Borealis once again burst. And you swear you saw in that Aurora Borealis that night a face that stared down. Can't remember anything else about it though. And then again, the night that you left that temple after hearing the first voices in your head. The night you heard the first voice that talked to you for just but a brief second. That said interesting to you. You once again had stared up at that constellation. And then just a few nights ago, once again, on the bluff above the village, you had stared up at that constellation before the attack. Make me a nature check. Or a survival
Alright.
check, your choice.
Both of those are a 0 for
Actually,
flavors.
technically, this would be a religion or a survival check.
Religion it is. I actually baseline get proficiency in that.
Okay. You could also
Dirty
make...
20.
Okay. Dirty 20. As you look up, you feel a strange connection to this constellation, but detached. You don't know what it is. It almost draws your attention, almost draws your sense of self to it every so often. It's not every night, it's not every day, but you've started to notice a pattern. Before events happen to you, not just like normal events like you meet someone, but fate-driven events happen to you. You look up and your attention is drawn to this constellation. And recently, you've been staring up at it at night now, just to see if anything else will happen. And you've noticed this constellation, ever since the attack, has moved from its place in the sky further and further. And you piece it together finally. That constellation was above Oakage this entire time. And now it's moved away from Oakage.
It means something. But what?
Since the night of the attack.
Perhaps if I visit there, I may find answers. Perhaps there is a reason behind it. But why?
You hear in your mind, find the moon, find your answers, find the stars. My child,
I know you, but I also don't. Will I find answers about you there?
You will find your fate. You will find that is holy. You will find my will. And with that, your eyes flick open. And what you thought was going to be 10 minutes, you swear it was only 10 minutes. But though it was morning, it's now night. You have gotten a long rest if you wish to take more HP.
Alright. Long rest has been acquired. I have regained 2 hit points. Because that's how long rests work in Pathfinder.
As you wake up, your stomach feeling a bit better, you step out of your cot and pull the curtain back, and you see the entire room is basically quiet, with a few lamps that have moss that glows, this dim blue hanging in the corners of the room, glowing a little bit, dim light, not enough to wake people up.
Is there a window that perhaps faces the direction that I regularly see the constellation?
Usually you look up, but you do see a window out to the northern side. Actually, no, it would be, at this point, that one would be west. You see it out the western side. And you see moonlight coming in. As you step up to the window, you see the constellation in the sky to the west.
It seems that I must leave this place after such a long time.
I will
It was
say,
nice here.
to the west is that bandit camp.
Although
The direction the bandits ran, I mean, not the camp. You don't know that.
that place likely has many dangers. Resting here wouldn't be so bad, but I've a feeling that I'll find something there. Something off to the west. And for that, I must be prepared to fight what comes in my way and free those under tyranny's wrath. I should let them know in the morning. As I'm going to, essentially telling this to myself, step away from the window and start quietly packing my things.
Alright.
Along with whatever healing salve they let me take, so that my wounds are less painful.
I will say, the healing salve that you did drink gave you an extra 1 HP on your long rest. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Alright, an extra 1 hit point. That is not what I meant to do. I was going to be there.
Begin to pack your things. Do you swear? The hairs in the back of your neck stand. And as you look over towards the corner of the room, you see a shadowy figure.
I'd like to very quietly just place a hand on my remaining star knife, just in case.
And as you do so, you see just a cloak of black, completely covering their body. Everything can't be seen besides the face, but you can't make out any details. It's this completely darkened shade underneath. It just stares at you.
You know, for someone who likes to hide in the shadows, I can see quite well in the dark.
Your hair starts to stand up more now that you've recognized it. It seems
I
to
know
take...
who you are,
Go
but
ahead.
I need the name. It's rude to simply stare and not introduce oneself, isn't it?
You don't see a stride, but instead it just leans forward and starts to make its way slowly towards you, inch by inch. and your fur starts to stand even taller and taller the closer it starts to get. As it gets... Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to attempt to just stand there, feet planted, trying to maintain eye contact with what I can assume is the face.
As you continue to do so, every fiber in your being tells you to run. I need you to make a will save.
15.
15.
That's a failure, isn't it?
You feel your heart pounding. The blood in your body starts to pulse. You feel your flight or fight kick in. Your eyes dilate. And you see your life flashing before your eyes. What do? The creatures may be 10 feet from you and getting closer. You see the moonlight that's shining right next to you by the window. What are you doing?
Are you taking inspiration of this from the new Puss in Boots movie?
Fuck you.
I knew it! I knew it!
I thought for a second it was the new Scream movie.
No. I figured the way he was describing it that it was Puss in Boots.
Anyways, so what are you doing? Gotta say, I had you there for a second, didn't I?
You did, but then you just start describing it like, this sounds an awful lot like death.
Anyways, what are you doing? Head character, you are fucking frightened of this.
Well, of course I'm frightened of it. It's probably death. Who knows? I don't know what it is. All I know is that it's black, it's tall, and it's walking towards me. I'm just going to slip my knife closer to me and sort of widen my stance a little bit, placing my hand a little further along the desk so that I can brace myself a bit. And if it makes any obviously offensive move towards me or anyone else in this room, I'm going to stab it. If.
As it gets towards the moonlight pouring through the window, it doesn't stride, sorry, it moves, almost gliding into the moonlight and just vanishes into darkness, into a dust that disappears. I'd like you to make me a fortitude save.
Fortitude, alright. Fortitude. That's probably a failure. That's an 11.
You suddenly feel your heart beating like a motor. And then suddenly it just stops. And you start to clutch your chest as you hold onto the desk for a second. And you force your heart to beat once more. And it slowly starts to go back into rhythm.
I do not want to meet that man again. Why does he keep showing up? There's reason to all of this, but what?
I will say this is the first time you've seen this creature.
This is the first time I've seen him?
To your knowledge, yes.
Okay.
You know, I realize, I'm gonna tell you something here. I did not take inspiration of Puss in Boots at first. I was describing this, and I was like, this really does sound like Puss in Boots. Let's push into it more. And then you called me out on it, so I was like, fuck. So I'm no cap, for real. I did not intentionally do that, and then I started realizing I was, so I just started doing it anyways.
Did you just, like, think, like, I'm just gonna start ripping it off more as soon as I mentioned, like, this sounds like this?
Yes. You know what really kicked it off for me when I was like, this sounds like Puss in Boots to myself? When I said your fur starts to rise, I was like, wait, isn't he a cat person? Isn't this death? Wait.
Wait a minute.
voice.
So yeah, uh, regardless, after, I guess, pounding my hand on my chest again, just to make sure my heart is still beating, I would have dropped my knife for this so that I don't stab myself.
Of course.
I begin very quietly packing my things again to ensure that everything is nice and tidy in the bag, with the exception of my weapon, which is just going to be sitting next to it, or my weapons, since I have some javelins as well,
Okay.
and a dagger.
As you sit there and slowly daydream until morning. Eventually, the light of the sun begins to press over the horizon. Charlie, give me a second to burp. Sorry, I just drank an entire soda, so my entire chest cavity is filled with syrup.
Behold, everyone, this man drinks sodies.
So, as you sit there, your heart pounding in a different way than earlier, you begin to contemplate what that was. And before you know it, the morning sunrise crests over the hill. The cold night air begins to be replaced with a bit warmer breeze that passes through some of the holes in the walls. As you make your way to Yavos' room to make sure he's okay, you knock on the door, and you hear struggling.
I hear actual physical struggling inside his room.
Yes.
I kick the door down.
You kick it open, and as you enter the room, you see Yavos on, because he's been brought to another room similarly to the other girl, but not in the same room. You see Yavos just suddenly seizing on his bed, as his, out of his mouth, drool that's covered in spit is just starting to pour from his body. His nose, snot is just coming out in droves, and his one eye that seems to not be covered is just open, completely. He seems to be arcing his back heavily. And you see in the corner of the room, the cloaked figure again. As the daylight's yellows are just starting to pour in, he seems to be out of the light itself. And suddenly, the light starts to pour a bit more into the room and he disappears. Yavos
I will
is still
scream.
Yavos is still on his bed, seizing up at the moment.
I will yell for a nurse to come here in as loud a voice as I can reasonably muster. Nurse!
Roll me a fortitude save. I don't know what this
24.
I don't know what this would be specifically, so I'm just rolling with it. So,
I would assume it's because I am still not at full strength and I'm yelling at the top of my lungs.
So,
and
as
this
you
would
yell at the top
mental.
of your lungs, it's hard to push any air out of your lungs at the moment as you feel your entire body convulsing. It's strange. It's almost like the air in here is heavy. 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 But you managed to push it out, nurse! And it's not the top of your lungs. It sounds like you're barely whimpering out a yell. And you feel exhausted just doing that. As you do so, you look over to Yavos, and he is still convulsing, and there is no nurse in his sight right now.
Alright, I'm just going to take a wild guess here. If I put lay on hands into him, it's not going to do anything, right?
You don't know.
I'm going to go over to him, or at least attempt to go over to him, and put lay on hands.
Alright, so as you go and touch his chest to put lay on hands, you feel the radiant energy pushing through your body into his, and you feel him convulse. His convulsing slows for a second, and he grabs your arm with his right arm, your left arm, and he digs into your wounds that you had from the previous day, and you see his eye, which is covered in blood, red, just completely, fucked at this point. Just red eye, the blood vessels in his eye have burst. His entire eye is just red with blood, and he just stares up at you as he holds onto your arm. And what languages do you speak?
Languages. I would not have expected to be asked that. Where are my languages? Where are my languages? I know I have languages. I think I only know like 2 though.
Okay.
Uh, I know Amoron and I know Common.
You don't know. You don't know Elven.
No, I do not know Elven.
All right. You look.
I've
up
only
to,
got 10 intelligence. I'm not that good at learning languages.
You look down to him, and he looks up at you, and you swear for a second. The entire room goes dark, except for the 5 feet around you. Escof al Dora Ikunda Avning al Inuda Celis of Maiden. And then suddenly his seizing stops. And his arm falls from yours. As you slowly reach over and touch his neck, there is no pulse.
Yeah,
I will
figured
say,
so.
as he was speaking to you, you didn't recognize his speech as Elven. You know what Elven sounds like, and that was not Elven.
Everything has a reason. He was trying to tell me something, but I did not fully get it.
What's your perception bonus?
I have a +3 to perception.
Okay.
Why? Is there someone else in the room?
You don't know. As you look down at him, this now deceased body in front of you, suddenly his back stops arching and just lays down flat. And the room is still dark around you. Suddenly, his body sits up and turns towards you. His mouth hangs open, his jaw, and you hear, "Death awaits. Your time is nearing its end. Find the moon. Stop the coming storm. The solstice shall bring death and plague to these lands and many others." At this point, his body falls once again to the cot, and the entire darkness of the room disappears as the door is then pushed open again by one of the nurses. And you notice this with your perception. You left the door open when you kicked it in. Why was it closed? Anyways, the nurse comes in and they look around the chamber and see you. And you don't know why, but as you're standing there, you feel a sense of urgency pass over your body. But as you stand there, you look towards the nurses and they look towards you and they go, "What's going on? What's happening?"
I'm afraid it's already too late. He is not of this world any longer.
The nurses come walking over and start to do an examination upon the body. They conclude the same thing as you. "Shit, he was fine until 2 minutes ago. What happened?"
If I could explain it, I would. But even I do not understand what truly transpired here.
The nurse that you spoke to yesterday, the MILF elf, wipes her brow, the sweat off her brow, and goes, "I was with him all day yesterday, and there was no sign of anything, any bad things like internal bleeding, nothing. What happened here?"
It was not to do with the wounds of the previous battle.
Are you sure?
There was someone here. A man clad in dark robes, capable of traveling amongst the light itself whilst being invisible. He stood in the corner as the man perished.
They look towards the corner and
It is futile. He is not here any longer. He left moments before you arrived.
Roll me a diplomacy check, please.
$14.
So you gotta realize, you kicked in the door, screamed for the nurses, and this man who seemed relatively healthy to them, except for his wounds, of course, is suddenly dead on the table with you right there beside him, with his eye veins bursted, looking, which is a thing that happens when somebody is choked to death, mind you.
Yes, I know.
And you
There
were
would
touching
be-
his throat when they walked in.
I was touching his throat with one finger.
True. Actually, no, technically you wouldn't be because he sat back up. Never mind, so that suspicion is out of there for the moment. And the nurses go, Alright, we'll believe you for now, but you gotta understand how bad this looks. Listen,
I know the consequences of these actions.
listen.
Worry not, I will be leaving soon.
You will?
Yes. I have this feeling I may find answers to questions I have not asked, and I will find them perhaps in the West.
Well, stay until, Osha gets back. That's what you said, correct?
That is true, but if I do not leave soon, they will remain buried for the rest of time. That is what I feel. It is imperative that I leave with haste.
Well, you're always welcome back here, dearie. Especially in my house once we rebuild it. You helped us quite a bit. And I would
That
love to
I
help
did.
you.
That I did. I appreciate your assistance for these many moons. And with that, I leave you with a message that he left before his final breath. Find the moon, and it will find the answers that you seek.
I do not know
And with
what
that,
means.
neither do I. Perhaps we are not meant to know until we already found it.
She walks up to you and she starts to caress your chin and goes, Listen to me. If things get too dangerous, the secrets you look for will not be worth your life. You come back to us. Understood?
That I understand. For a life is the greatest freedom one can have, after all.
That's the attitude you need. I've seen far too many young spirits put their lives on the line and lose it, not realizing that their life is worth more than what they fight for.
You
Dear,
call me a young spirit? I appreciate your humor, but I'm getting on in my years.
and
Perhaps a young spirit is what I need right now.
you don't think I'm getting on in my years either?
All of
Dear,
us are, in due time.
I'm 250, dear.
And I am but 25. But
I totally forgot that was your age. I didn't mean to do 10 times your age. You be good. And she pats you on the shoulder. Go ahead and make me one last will save against her.
One last will
Roll
save.
that. Oh gosh, that's... At least she has a bonus to this because you failed the last one against her.
That's a 15.
You just beat her seduction. Damn it. She got a 14. So as you look at her, you're like... Not the worst looking, not the best, but like...
She
mean-
certainly wouldn't be someone I'd be displeased with.
Yeah, like, she doesn't force you to get a boner like yesterday, to an extent. But, like, you
Mhm.
still blush a little bit. It's nothing more than that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. And she goes, well, take care of yourself then. And before you leave, let us bake you a few buried pies to take with you.
That would be appreciated.
So, as you begin to wait for the berry pies to be cooked properly, it gets to about noon, and as you are being handed your pies on the steps of the hall, and everyone's saying their goodbyes to you, the elf does slip you a note that was apparently left by Yavos yesterday to you. The elf's already read it, so it's fine. It just describes what he found about the bandits in their camp. That he could see before he was attacked. And it seems they are in the direction you're heading. As you receive this information, your automaton friend is starting to walk up to you, ready to depart with you. And as she's about to speak to you, you hear the sounds of hooves hitting the ground. The sound of cartwheels being dragged. And you look over to the bluff, and you see, standing upon it, going down the hill to its right side. To its east side, sorry. 2 carts. One of which, you see your friend Osha pull the door open and stare down to the village, and as both your eyes meet, he waves over to you his hat in a friendly greeting.
I will smile back towards him, and ensuring that the luck that I have so far received from my mysterious benefactor, I pull out a gold coin, and I flip it, catch it, land it on the back of my hand. Appears to be heads. Well, to good fortune then. And perhaps those answers we're seeking may not be so buried after all. As I start walking towards the carriage.
As the carriage begins to move into town, and Osha basically yells to you, "Friend, I've brought what's your character's name again, sorry?"
Rankas.
Rankas! I brought us some cavalry! At this point, as you begin to shake your head because this foul-mouthed man keeps getting your name wrong, but he got his job done, you begin to walk towards the carts that are coming towards you. And that's where we'll end your session.
Alright.
Alright, now I have everyone in this village. I still need to do a few people's side stories, but still. What do you think of the session, guys?
Very cinematic.
Let me stop recording for a minute.
Very
Alright,
much.
this is the notes. Done.
Yeah.